On tonight's episode of Sanity Lounge, the boys welcome Anthony Turk Cannon into the studio. Anthony has had a unique journey from the shores of St. Michael's with his father to the stages of Baltimore and beyond. Don't forget to stick around after the interview for a performance in the studio. Welcome, Baltimore, to another episode of Sanity Lounge. We have a
sax
player, and the first sax player officially in the lounge, right?
Yeah, I don't even think we've had a sax player with a band. I don't even think.
Right, I believe so. So this is a unique honor, Mr.
I don't know if
Anthony.
we've even had a horn in here yet.
I don't believe we have had a horn here yet.
This is the first.
The honor is ours.
Anthony Turk Cannon.
Turk Cannon. Now, I'm going to lead off with the question, the obvious one.
Yeah.
Turk.
Okay.
Talk to me. What is the nickname?
Turk is the nickname of my late father.
Okay.
Okay.
He passed away in 2014, and he was a waterman. I'm from St. Michael's, Maryland, so he was a waterman, worked on the Chesapeake Bay all his life.
Wow.
And and all the guys, when he came, he was young, they called him Turk, and he said, because I guess they thought I was slow as a turtle. So they,
That's interesting.
so they called him Turk. So when he passed, I just wanted to make sure that I kept his name alive. He was given a citation by the governor of Maryland in 2012 as the last living legend on the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good history.
Yeah, man. I mean, my father had an 8th grade education.
Right.
He raised 5 kids, and he left this world with folks knowing and that he was somebody.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, man.
And
That's wild.
yeah. So through your musical career, you did not always go by Turk.
No, I just did that.
Wow.
When he passed, I just wanted to make sure.
I bet he had some wild stories on the water.
Oh yeah, from aliens to.
Okay. Look, don't get. I say, tread lightly.
I'm like, come on, Dad. You know, he like, man, it came right out the water. I seen it.
Dude, listen, Anthony, right? If you, because we love good stuff like that, and water aliens are right up our alley. So if you have documentation on any of this, yes,
they're down there.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's the Turk story.
That's cool.
So, yeah,
that's a good story.
Yeah.
That is good. Now let me ask you. So give me your musical history. Like, was the horns the first instrument?
It was a clarinet.
Clarinet.
Yep. When he was 9.
Yeah.
What,
Started.
did you already research it?
I'm smart.
This cat. All right.
Yeah, man. He
I'm
knows.
a smart man.
Started on the clarinet, and then I moved over to saxophone, and I stopped playing like around 9th grade because baseball.
Oh, okay.
You know, I grew up playing with one of the Baltimore Oriole greats, Harold Baines.
Holy shit.
Really? Yeah. You mentioned that like before you came in here that he's your cousin.
He's married to my cousin.
He's married to your cousin.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. And he and I grew up as best friends.
Really?
Yeah, man, in St. Michael's, Maryland, and he still lives there.
He is.
Well, so let me ask you this:
legend, man.
Did you know, like back then when you were hanging? What age is this?
Yeah.
The 9th grade, so like 15.
Yeah.
Was he exceptional?
You mean was he a good baseball player?
We're not gonna make this the Harold Baines hour.
no, sir. Just asking.
But let me say this.
Right.
Bill Veck. The story goes, Bill Veck had a place in Oxford, Maryland, who was the owner of the Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Wow.
Seen him when he was 12.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you now, I played Little League. I'm 3 years behind Harold. Dude, couldn't get him out then.
Wow.
I mean, he was just a natural. I mean, so Bill Veck seen him when he was 12 and had some scout keep an eye on him. And in high school, I was a freshman when he was a senior. So I beat out, I got to tell this story. So I beat out all the upperclassmen. I was a starting right fielder when he was a senior.
Oh, nice.
Dude, there was at least 50 or 60 scouts at every game.
Really?
Wow.
And I think he might have only had 20 actual at-bats. They wouldn't pitch to him.
That's so funny.
They walk him every time. So he used to have batting practice after the game so the scouts could see him
so they
hit.
can see him hit. That's wild.
Wow, that is crazy, man.
So
what though? That's why you stopped playing, was because you were trying to dabble in baseball.
Yeah. Baseball was my ticket out of St. Michael's.
Right.
So I 4-year starter in St. Michael's High School, and I got a full baseball scholarship to Howard University.
Nice. Good
So,
for you.
yeah, so I never had to pay a nickel for my education. And Harold, being the great person that he is, got me a workout with the actual Chicago White Sox in 1983.
Damn.
When they came in town. I'm in the dugout. Carlton Fisk,
Wow.
Greg Glazinski.
Yeah.
Jimmy Leland was the bench coach, and Tony La Russa was the manager. It's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
Didn't work out.
Right.
I wasn't the
Right.
monster player I thought I was.
Right.
But the fact that, I got a chance to
got the
see
opportunity.
see what it was like.
Yeah,
And,
that's an accomplishment
Yeah.
in of itself.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just real quick, a little anecdote. Ted Danson of Cheers, Ted Danson. He was. I didn't know this until he just said this recently, but he was on a full basketball scholarship, and he was the king at basketball in his hometown. He got a basketball scholarship to UCLA or some California school. And when he got there, there was only one other guy that was in his position.
And who was
and
it?
it was Lou Alcindor.
Kareem.
Yeah, and he said he went to one practice, and this guy was going for the same position as him, and he realized he was like, "Oh
He's
my
like,
God,
I'm
I'm
just
not
gonna
good."
go.
Like,
I'm gonna go make a TV show. called
Right,
Cheers.
right.
Yeah.
It worked out fine for both.
Right.
Oh, both of them, it worked out fine for
But it's not about Ted Danson
Right.
or Harold Baines.
That's right.
It's
Or
about
Kareem.
Mr. Anthony, right? Or Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor,
Right, right.
a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
So you did your little jaunt with baseball. It didn't work out. When? So give me the.
You
how
were
did you get
dabbling
back
with
to
the
it?
sax
So
throughout.
going through college, get out of college, get married, have kids, still playing like semi-pro baseball because it was always in my blood until I guess about 31 years old. I was 31. My wife said at the time, "You need to spend your butt. You need to stay home. You're always running around with baseball. You need to find an activity you can do at the house." So I always loved music. And the thing is, it was always 1A and 1B. Baseball and music, it was always calling me. The music was always calling me. So I went to this one jazz festival and seen this guy down in Virginia, Nelson Rangel. Killed it.
Yep.
And at that point in time, I had the bug. And then I went to another one and seen this other guy named Donald Harrison. Killed it. And then Donald Harrison came to Blues Alley because I got a chance to meet him, and he told me he was going to be at Blues Alley. So I went down and seen him at Blues Alley. And I asked him, I said, "Man, am I too old to try to get back into this?" He said, "Hey, man, you've been a high-level athlete." He said, "So you already know about consistent and persistence and patience because that's what it takes to be at that level."
Sure.
He said, "So, nah, man." And the next day, I went and bought a saxophone.
Nice. And now you've sold out Blues Alley.
Yeah, and then I sold out Blues Alley. Yeah, man. So I took 2 semesters of music theory at Howard Community College.
And what age was this when you were like, I'm back at 30? Is
I
that
was 32.
32?
32.
Good
Yeah,
for
man.
you.
And then 32, man, I just grinded it out every day. I mean, I probably, in 365 days in a year, maybe I didn't pick that horn up maybe 5 days.
Right.
Other
That's
than
kind of
that-
how he is with the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
and do it every day, man.
Yeah, it soothes. It helps. I mean, other than it helps you play, like great.
And all those guys that I used to go to open mics with, play with, and when I was getting back into it, I mean, they're still doing that. And I've got 18 original music playing on Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Sirius,
Right.
XM, all original stuff that I wrote, because I just figured like this: if I was going to do this, then I'm going to be an artist,
Sure.
not a player. I want to have my own music. I
Sure.
want, and the motto that I used to always keep in my head, I said, well, you know what? Nobody knew Marvin Gaye was a great singer until he made them fall in love with his music.
Sure.
So I had
Yeah.
the same philosophy. I said, I'm just going to make them fall in love with my music.
If you have an original thing or the original bug, it's hard to do anything else. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
And
well, you're not going to get any record deals or endorsement deals playing covers.
Right.
absolutely.
And I got an endorsement deal, like Sax Dakota is my endorsement company that I play. I only play their horns. Theo Wani mouthpieces. I only play Theo Wani mouthpieces, the endorsement, and Oleg ligatures. So, and that's because of my original music.
Right.
So I go out to NAMM every year, and go out there with the purpose of trying
What is
to.
NAMM?
NAMM is the big music festival in California,
okay.
worldwide. You see everybody there from. Oh man, Marcus!
And
Marcus,
it's all music. It's all
NAMM.
instruments, right?
all
Yeah, like drummers go
manufacturers and artists.
Okay.
Yep, you see anybody, any genre of music, all manufacturers and artists. Anybody. I mean, I'm walking there to see Stevie Wonder,
Oh yeah.
walking the floor, and nobody's bothering them. Marcus Miller, and nobody's bothering them.
Right.
Chris Bodie. You see them all there because it's a code amongst musicians.
Right.
You know, you want to take pictures with them and everything, but you're not gonna be like. They're not walking around with security or anything like that, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, music industry is not that big of a world. Like it's a small world, like which is what you're speaking to. You know, you go to these concerts because I know a lot of drummers that go to the NAMM festival every year, and I thought it was only a drum thing, but it's like
That's cool. I've never heard of that festival.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Anybody who's anybody's there
in the industry
because it's the week before Grammys.
Okay.
So anybody all over the world they come to LA anyway,
And
so,
they're there.
so they're already in LA.
Right.
So that's why you see them at NAMM.
That's interesting.
So, Mr. Anthony, when you got back into it, like breathing technique and stuff like that, was it hard to recapture that kind of stuff, or does that kind of stuff stick with you? Keep in mind, I'm not a player. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but whatever it is, I don't know if breathing
And I would
technique...
say you weren't serious with the clarinet. You played it when you were, what, 9?
8 or 9. Yeah. No, man, it was like, and I started playing the clarinet because my mother used to watch these old movies with Benny Goodman.
Right.
So
That's funny. That's funny.
that was it.
Right.
That was the only person. But I already knew early on. I said, "This ain't gonna groove. I gotta move on from this."
Right.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have good breathing technique until you got back into it at 30, and then
When I got back into it, I could only play it maybe for like 5 minutes at a time.
I got you.
My mouth wasn't. My armature wasn't there.
Yeah, that's something I probably take for granted. I don't even understand what it would take to play any kind of horn instrument. For
Now I can play. I can play all day long, all night long.
Really?
But 5 minutes, man, and then you can't hold it. I mean, after 5 minutes, I'm like, I gotta take a break.
Right.
So you just build it up. Oh, it takes. My teacher told me when I first started playing, he said, 5 years. It takes 5 years just to be decent.
Right.
Now,
And that's everyday practice.
That's
right?
everyday practicing.
Right.
Now,
Wow.
if you got some gifts and you know, really work hard, you can cut it down where you start. The tone is the biggest thing. It's getting your sound. And that's an experiment. I mean, one thing about saxophone players, we spend a lot of money thinking that mouthpieces and certain reeds are going to all of a sudden give us that golden sound.
But they don't.
It's not.
Right.
It's just time and long tones and just, you have to find your right setup.
Right.
You know, at this point in time, I can sound good on a student horn. It doesn't matter now because my setup is correct. I mean, when I say my setup, I got the right mouthpiece, I got the right reed combination, I got the right ligatures.
And, I mean, breath and breathing.
And breathing and strong and everything like that.
It's all perfect.
Yeah. So
And locked in.
Yeah.
Ligatures. What is ligatures?
that's what holds the reed on the mouthpiece.
Okay.
That makes a big difference. Yeah, different reeds, different ligatures open up the horn. It all depends on the style of music you're playing.
And that's all subjective. It's all personal preference.
That's right, man. It's all about how you're constructed, how
Right.
your
Yeah,
mouth
I mean,
is.
it's kind of like John and his drumsticks.
I was going to say, right, it's the drumstick thing. It's like there's all kinds of different ones, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, but, you know, each person finds their niche.
Yep. Same with horns.
Right.
Certain horns, like Yamaha horns, they just don't feel good to me.
Right.
Their setup is different. I can't play them. So, yeah.
So what makes a mouthpiece or a reed better than another? I mean, in a basic sense, I guess.
Personal preference and what you're chasing, the type of sound you're chasing.
But is it materially different on different ones?
Okay.
Like,
Yep. I play red box, Bandorn, cane reeds on my alto and soprano. On my tenor, I play Legier plastic reeds.
Okay.
So I play a plastic reed on my tenor,
Right.
but I play the wooden cane reeds on my alto and soprano
And it
because
has a completely different sound.
it's the sound that's me.
I got
It's
you.
my voice.
And also, can you feel it being the player? Can you feel a difference between a plastic reed and a, like, does it?
Oh yeah, but the feeling, but the feeling is good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but
like
the feeling
in a good
is,
way.
Yeah, but the feeling is good.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm so ignorant to horns. I've played with horn sections, but I'm ignorant to the horn. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, my son plays the flute, and he's 14, but he's been playing 5 years now, and he's starting to get it, so he's starting to enjoy it.
That's a whole different man. A lot of saxophone players won't touch the flute.
Yeah,
I tried it, and the whole armature is different.
Right.
I mean, because you hyperventilate. If you don't have the right, you pass out.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, because you
it's
lose a lot. Go ahead.
I was saying it's like fast breathing, I guess.
Well, you lose a lot in the transfer.
Right. Okay.
So, because your armature, the flute, you're right here, and you got a stream of air. It's got to go in that little hole.
Right.
I got you.
Prolonged stream.
Right.
Where saxophone, we got the aid of a reed that vibrates and everything. You're using your tongue, and so you got more time to get to that note on the saxophone than you do on the flute. On the flute, it's unforgiving.
Wow.
If you not straight into that hole, then you just sound like crap.
That's so interesting.
Yeah,
you know that, but your son.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you hear that just high pitch.
Yeah.
See, with the saxophone, you can have 15 different mouthpieces until you find the right one that makes you at least decent.
Right.
You ain't got that with the flute.
Right.
It's either you get it or you nail it or you don't.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's right. And
That's wild.
it was frustrating for him when he was getting him to practice, but once he got it.
But once you get it, flute players are beautiful.
Yeah.
But then when you find a flute player that can play,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
nice.
gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what were your musical influences?
Grover Washington and David Sanborn.
Wow.
They got
David
me in.
Sanborn.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Grover Washington.
Grover
Nice.
Washington and David Sanborn got me going, and then some of the older cats like Dexter Gordon. Everybody said my sound on tenor is more like a Dexter Gordon type of sound. But the true nature of a saxophone player is you find someone to mimic early who you want to sound like. You want to sound like, Grover Washington. You want to sound like David Sanborn. You want to sound like Dexter Gordon. And then during that whole progress, during that whole journey, you find your own voice.
Right.
Because all saxophone players, I can't speak for all, but I'm pretty sure all saxophone players don't want to be known for their name. Mm-hmm. They want you to walk into a room and say, oh, damn, that definitely sounds like Anthony Turk Cannon. Right. You want people to say your sound is the first thing that identifies you versus your image.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Right.
Everybody knows that David Sanborn. Oh, that's David. I know now. Oh, that's Grover.
Right.
Or that's Andy Schnitzer. Right. Or that's Michael Brecker. I just know who it is because of listening to them and their style and their voice, their tone. You already know who it is. Walter Beasley. Just know who it is. Mm-hmm. And that's what saxophone players strive for, is for you to recognize them for their tone, their voice.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Their
that is
own unique
interesting.
sound.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just like the Santana thing. You always know when you hear Carlos Santana, you're like, that's Santana,
Very
period.
True. Yep.
But in the horn
Jerry
world,
Garcia, there's a lot.
the same thing rings true in the horn world, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
a long
stuff.
journey, man. Yeah, some people get it early. Sometimes you just chase that sound forever. I was fortunate that my alto sound was the last thing to come, but I was always had a good tenor sound. And then the soprano was, the alto came, and then now you're chasing the sopranos. The soprano's the hardest one to keep in tune.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people know the difference between any of those saxophones, like an alto, a tenor, a soprano sax. I mean, they're just different pitches and sounds.
To add to that question, as you're answering that question, is what specifically, talk to us about the different alto, tenor, and also, does every sax cat have the whole run of like alto, tenor?
No, some people just play tenor. A lot of cats just play alto.
What's the most common?
It all depends on the genre of the music. Okay. So with smooth jazz, you're gonna find more guys heavy on tenor than alto and soprano.
And so to be clear, is that the straight one or which?
No, that's the bigger one.
The big one.
Yeah,
okay,
with the curved neck. The tenor, they find that more. It's interesting. With me, I can't just play one horn because when I write music or I play music, other people's stuff, cover stuff. If I'm not going to play a David Sanborn song, say Chicago song. When he wrote it for alto and he played it on alto and then play it on tenor or soprano, it's just not going to have the same feel.
Sure.
You can do it, but if you're chasing something different because everybody plays it on alto. So the difference is alto is in E flat and the baritone is in E flat. The tenor and the soprano are in B flat. So a lot of cats that aren't really into reading or they just want to play the tenor, it's only one step up from piano.
Huh.
So it's just the theory of it. So if you're playing the piano in C,
right,
and you're playing the tenor, you have to play in the key of D, which is one step up.
Okay.
With alto, it's a 6 above or a third below. So that's the math of it. That's why you see a lot of kids in school, they teach them more on alto because they want them to understand the theory of the horn. Because tenor and soprano is easy to go to.
Right.
The key is your scales. You gotta know your scales. And one of the things when I, teach young kids, because I have some students back in the day, I used to teach some students, and I used to always work on them and say, you know what, scale, scale, scale. My girlfriend has a son who's 14 years old, and I got him playing like 2 years ago. And one of the things I pushed on him before I even let him try to play any songs was learn your scales. I'm not letting you play any songs until you can play your scales. Because once you know your scales, you'll never get lost in any song.
Right.
I could step on any stage, not even know the song.
Right.
Find the guys used to say, oh, we're playing in this key. I'm like, no, dude, don't even. It doesn't matter because I got transposed anyway. Just play. And then I just, boom, just like that. Within 30 seconds, I know what key they playing in.
Right. That's the equivalent to the rudiments in drums. It's like if you just practice the rudiments in drums, you will be solid.
And the scale is just a pattern.
The scale is, that's the foundation of music, not a pattern.
Okay.
The scales, there's, A, you got C, D, E, G, A flat, B major, D flat major.
So when you say you're
F sharp
practicing
major.
the scales, you're saying just running. Are you reading music, running the scales?
Running the scales, and boom, 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 boom,
Okay.
boom, 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 boom.
Right.
So this way, that's because you have to. One of the things, a lot of guys that play by ear, and I don't want to get too philosophical into it, but a lot of guys that play by ear, they just play randomly. They don't even know what they're playing. They said, I found a few notes that work in the key of the song that they're playing in, and you find this a lot with, and I'm not talking bad about blues players.
So no.
But all they know is 1, 4, 5.
Right.
They don't know any, Dorian scales, Lydian, Mixolydian. They don't know nothing Phrygian. They don't know anything about that.
Right.
And those are the different modes of the scale.
Right.
So if you're going to be a real musician, know that. Because the musicians that make the money are the ones that can read.
Right.
If you don't read, you can't get big money gigs.
Right.
Because a lot of professional players, they're not going to have 10 practices for you to learn the song. They're going to send you the sheet music. That's what I do with the players that I call.
Right, yeah.
Right.
I send them sheet music. If they can't read music, I can't use you.
Right.
Right. Now we've talked to some. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the difference between.
And not everyone can.
Right. It's a different level. It's a professional musician versus
And you don't have to be an expert reader, but you have to be able to read charts.
Right.
Chords.
Right.
But I find that blues
usually
is a passion project. Most of the blues players that I've known, over time, it's like either they do know the scales, but their passion is blues, and so for whatever reason, that one.
And there's nothing wrong with ear players. There's a lot of great ear players.
Sure. But I'm saying, like to your point, it is kind of the same song.
But you can't get session work. Go back to Steely Dan.
Right.
Those guys.
I
Let's
love
talk about
Steely Dan.
Dan.
I
Right.
love
Yeah, it's
Steely
his
Dan. It's
favorite
my
band.
favorite band.
Michael, was it
Walter Becker
and Donald Fagen.
Yeah, man.
And I looked at the documentary, and one of the things that they said,
I love
they loved a lot of the players that used to come in to them for some when they was auditioning players,
Right.
and everything. He said they had the soul, they had this and that, but they couldn't read.
Yeah.
He said we could not use them. We had to make sure that we sourced the best players that could read and had that it.
Yeah. Like Bernard Pretty Purdy. I saw the same
Look,
documentary.
the rest is history, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love Steely Dan. Like,
Yeah, man.
that's my
Yeah.
shit. That
Yeah,
kind of
man.
music is my shit.
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
speaking of music, your songs, first of all, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
the music the tracks themselves, who, like, is that you or
Yeah.
is it,
Okay, here's
what does that be?
It's me.
Okay.
I can't give away all my trade secrets.
Sure.
But what I do, the way that I put my music together, and I try to make sure each song doesn't sound like the last song.
Sure.
I try to, I want to have some diversity and, just a good feel for each song that I write and put together. So I work on the song on the piano, get the ideas together, and then I got this guy in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
I send my ideas on piano with the bass and blah, blah, blah. I send it to him. We've been working together for about 8 years now.
Wow, that's
I
interesting.
send it to him, and he plays all the instruments, or he'll get whatever he needs, and he'll send me back my original songs. He's like, Tony, what do you think about? Here's what you sent me. Here's what it is now. And I'm like, beautiful.
And then you just write the horn parts.
And I write the horn parts.
No, that's cool.
I
That's
go in last.
interesting.
When I record, I'm the last guy in. Now when I record, I'll switch out local guys. Like my new song that I'm working on now called Digging That Groove. I'm using a local drummer. I don't want to drop these guys' name because I don't have the right to put their name out there. But I'm using a local drummer who is first call smooth jazz drummer, plays with everybody in smooth jazz.
Right.
I'm using a guy who used to be Patti LaBelle's bass player on bass.
Nice.
So I will get the track back, and if I don't like what I hear, then I'll call in the big guns to come into the studio, like here, and they'll come in and lay down their track. They'll replace the bass that's already there. They'll replace the drums that's already there. They'll replace the guitar that's already there.
Right.
And then the song still feels, but a lot of times it can feel better because I'm telling them now exactly what I want, or I'm letting them feel the song and they get it. So all that is just a process, my process that like I say, it's my secret sauce of how I put my music together.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me ask you, so when you're doing the original idea, it's you on the piano in the early days, do you have an idea of a horn part already, or are you just like doing something on the piano, you're like, I think I like this, you send it off and you worry about the horn part later?
No, I already know because I already had the melody in my
That's
head.
what I'm
Right,
wondering.
yeah,
So
you
it's
have
like
an
two
idea in
parts. I
your
got
head.
the melody in the
Right.
whole song melody in my head, and then I got the sax melody somewhat. But you know what? And when I go in the studio, it's at least 4 to 6 sessions
Right.
before I have the song exactly what I want. The first time I go into the studio, it's just to give me an idea of what I think I want.
Right.
And I give my friends. Sometimes I'll send it to my friends and I say, I want you to hear what this song sounds like today. And I'm gonna send it to you again when it's done. And a lot of times, 10 out of 10 times, it's not the same song anymore.
Right.
Because my sax melody has developed. I've heard different things. And
Evolved.
That's right.
So what about when you're playing out live, like a live gig? How do you handle that? Like you have like a slew of musicians that you
I have
reach
my
out
first
to?
call guys that I call, and hopefully they're in town.
Right.
Right.
And then I have the other guys, the second call, but they're all good musicians. And
generally, how many of it is it? How
I
many on stage?
I usually do a 4 or 5 piece band.
Okay.
Sax, keys, bass, guitar, and drums.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, you said you came from York. Are you from PA? Or
No,
are
I'm
you
from
Hey, St. Michael's.
St. Michael's.
Come on, pay attention,
St.
man.
Michael's?
The Waterman. His dad was a waterman.
That's right. Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever develop, like, were you ever a waterman, like, proper? Or?
Hell yeah. Yeah, me and my brothers out on that work.
Yeah, I kind of have
but
to.
I mean, I'm wondering, like, nowadays, like, do you mess with it, or?
I fish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of fishing, but no, man, my father.
Because I figured you either lean into it or you were like,
No, my father didn't want it. My grandfather, I grew up in St. Michael's. My grandfather lived right next door to us, and right next door to my grandfather was my uncle. So I had a whole lot of family right on the next street or right on the same street, and they were all watermen. So
nice.
Yeah. So my father didn't want us on the water. He busted his butt to make sure that we all went to college, and out of the 5 kids, 3 of us got college degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, man.
So the 4 songs that you played, the one, okay, hold on here. Good Morning Aruba, the horn you used in that.
Soprano.
Okay, that was the last song.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I loved them all because I'm a Steely Dan guy, and like they're all, like it's that style, I love that.
That song charted number 12 last year on Discovery Jazz Smooth Jazz chart.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really dug all of them, and then
what I think what happened here today, that song was the easiest one to transfer over to playing with the track. The rest of the songs, I'm using multiple horns on.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm saying, to be clear, I loved them all. I just
what do you mean you're using multiple horns?
So on the Good News, Looking Back in Time, and City Nights, I'm stacking horns. So I'm playing the lead melody, and then over the top, I got backing horns.
Oh, right. You're saying in like a studio version of the song.
Or you'll hear that I'm playing, like I'll play like ba-da-dee-da-dee-da-da on alto, and then I'll come back and play that same line with soprano, ba-da-dee-da-dee-da-da, because it makes that note, that whole line fatter and more dynamic.
Right.
So the songs could feel a little naked here today because
it's a live performance. Right.
It's a live performance, and I'd have to hear. It was nasty. Like it was great.
It sounded great.
It was fantastic.
It sounded great. Yeah. So, all right, let me think. I wrote down all these questions. I want to make sure I get to all of them.
And I try to do a video with each song because I try to tell a story with each of my songs and everything like that. And the one song, which I think is a unique story, and it's personal to me, and it's a message that I share with all the men when I do my shows, and it's called The Good News.
Right.
And that's a story that I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Oh, wow.
In 2020. Okay. And never, taking care of myself and the whole thing, but, didn't really know. Both my parents passed away from cancer, so I know about cancer. I had a lot of cancer in my family, as we all probably today know someone.
Definitely.
So I go to Johns Hopkins to see one of the world-renowned urologists, Dr. Arthur L. Burnett, and I can use his name because I want folks to be able to look him up if they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I go into his office with my other doctor friend, Dr. David Francois, who NIH military, thank you for your service, Dave. And I walk in, he looks at my case, looks at my chart, and he says to me, "Here's the good news. The truck has not left the garage. I can offer you a cure." And I was like, best news I ever heard in my life.
Sure, that's great.
Because when you hear cancer, you don't hear the word cure.
Sure, yeah. Right.
So he said, "I can offer you a cure." He said, "Here's the good news." And I was so overwhelmed with the way he took care of me that I wanted to do something more other than say thank you.
Right.
So I wrote this song called The Good News, and I shared it with Johns Hopkins, and Johns Hopkins picked the song up and plays the song at all their facilities all over the world.
Nice, man.
But I did it for Dr. Burnett, and because he saved my life.
Right.
And so at all my shows that he can make it to, he comes and I give him the mic. He comes up on stage and he talks to the people about my case and how men don't assume you're okay. go get that PSA test.
Yeah, man, that's what.
Go get that PSA test. So I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not trying to commandeer.
No. I don't mess around with any of that stuff. He just had his first exam.
Yeah,
recently.
I just did a colonoscopy. We talked about it on here. I was horrified, but it was really not a big deal. I mean,
and it's important. I mean,
it is important.
I'm going to be 50 in September. He's going to be 49.
Right.
Like
and I'll tell you,
really
the gentleman who helps us produce the show, Hawley, the guy with the cowboy hat at the live shows.
That was at Guilford.
Yeah, he had a cancer, serious problem. Yeah, and I mean he's good now.
Yeah, my father went through it. When my kids were young.
That PSA test is very important.
Yeah.
That number,
100%.
It's good stuff.
So that's the story behind.
Yeah, well, that's great.
That's
so you're a real
message,
deep. You're a deep dude. I dig it. You know, like you got a lot of thought behind a lot of your stuff. I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Do any of your songs have vocals? Or
Yeah. Just did one with this.
Do you do the vocals?
I sang background on the song called "Dial My Number."
Okay.
But the guy who actually sang it, we call him Tito, Windsor Pettiford, school teacher, but he's got a great voice.
That's a great name.
Windsor Pettiford. Yeah,
he does a lot of, me and him do a lot of duo stuff together. Cool. So, and then I use this incredible female vocalist. She likes to go by the name Satoria. And that song is called "Till Next Time."
Okay.
And then I used the guy on the song, a guy named Mark Staggers, on my song called "Lights Down Low," and an incredible keyboard player produced that song and mixed it for me. Dawood Saeed, he passed away like 3 years ago, but talk about a music savant. Yeah, man. And so certain melodies that I come up with, I hear lyrics. I write all the lyrics to all my music, and I hear the lyrics, and so that's how a song becomes a vocal song for me, is that if I hear words that are coming to me, I write them down, and it's all about telling stories. So,
right.
So the song "Lights Down Low" was inspired by the story that I heard about John Coltrane on his world-renowned CD, Love Supreme. And it was all about how his wife understood his passion and understood his commitment to jazz and the pressure that he was under from his record company to create this masterpiece. So the story goes that she told him to go upstairs, lock yourself in a room, I'll bring you whatever you need.
Turn the lights down low.
Yeah, they said 30 days later, he emerged out of that room with the album Love Supreme.
That's a good woman right there.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
And he said he told the world, if it wasn't for her, this could not happen. So the song that I wrote is just all about, him shouting out to the world, I could not have done this without her.
Right.
And, the story is if you got a good partner, we'll just say partner today, right? You got a good partner that understands your passion, your love. There's nothing that's going to keep you from it, man.
Right. Yeah, that's thick. That's heavy shit.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I do too. So, okay, so the songs, let me think here. I want to make sure I get through all my questions that I wrote here. Mm-hmm. The good news, so the titles in general, it seems like you've got, are they all thick stories behind them, or?
Brandon's song, Looking Back in Time.
Right.
That's a song where I wrote about my son. I lost him in 2022 through a head injury. So I didn't want to write a song that was sad. I wanted to write a song that was uplifting and a celebration of his life.
Sure.
And he was a wonderful, wonderful young man. And lost
What
him.
age are we talking, if you don't mind?
He was 34.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And beautiful, beautiful young man.
Are you a spiritual man, Anthony?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, man.
You gotta be. I mean, that's a tough one,
So,
and it's beautiful. I mean, the song, it's one of the,
And if you hear it from the studio recording, I mean, it's just so powerful. I tend to tune the songs to you anyway, so you can hear the songs. And at the end, on the vocals, I say, "I miss you, Brandon."
Yeah. I heard that, but I didn't know. But
I said, "We miss you," meaning the whole family, everybody that knew him. Right. We miss you, Brandon. So.
Yeah, that's heavy, man. And that takes, again, I can tell you're a heavy dude because it takes, a certain modicum of candor to be able to dig that deep and do something that emotional. And,
initially, it was a sad song that I had written.
Right.
I didn't want that.
Yeah, right.
I wanted people to feel good about his life, and if you look at the CD cover, it's a picture of me and him, but he dominates the CD cover, not me, because I wanted his face, his image to be out there forever. Right. So, and it is, because the song is all over the world.
Yeah, so, that's wonderful, man. That's good stuff. And then
that's
what was the
theme song?
Yeah,
it is
with Ron, their bass, his band. His bass player passed away, 6 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, it hadn't been a year.
And he's the bass player on the theme song of this show.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll always be the theme song of the show.
I know. It's crazy. So, and looking back in time...
That was Brandon, yep.
Okay, and then what the heck?
City Nights.
Good Morning Aruba, City Nights. I wrote feels breezy and majestic.
If you see the video,
I loved that one. That was the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah. And I did the video downtown Baltimore.
Nice.
And recorded it, the video and everything. And that was just a song. When I was writing the song, when I got the melody, I was in downtown Baltimore, and I travel around with my day job. I do federal contracting for the federal government.
Okay.
And I see all these different cities and everything, and I'm like, what do you need to leave the United States for? I mean, we got the best architecture. We got the best cities on the face of the earth. Okay, Dubai, but that's all fake.
It's fantasy land.
Yeah, fantasy land. It's not real. And so, and I called it City Nights because it's just, if you just sit back and listen to it, it's just the beautiful nature of just take 5 minutes and just look at the different landscapes of our cities across this country.
Yeah, man. I said it feels breezy and majestic.
So
it
you
feels
travel
like
all
a
over the
night.
country for your job.
Yeah, I do.
And you always have your.
Oh, I always got my.
So you always find a place to play when you're in these places. That's cool.
That's it, man. I'll go sit in quick. I'm not gonna sit in a hotel.
Sure.
I was at a conference 2 years ago in New Orleans. And they're having these after dinner things and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, we'll see you around 7 o'clock. I'm like, you lost your mind. I'm going to play. I'm in New Orleans.
Right.
I was out playing, sitting in, going to all the clubs playing in New Orleans, man, while I was down there.
Sure.
So what do you do? You just walk in?
Yeah. Remember what I told you?
Right.
I know my scales.
Yeah.
Right. And he walked into Guilford. Remember, he was just walked right into Guilford Hall and was like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. And I came to you, but I said, you think they'll let me do a song?
Yeah. I said, they is me.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, I guess it's getting to the point where people are knowing you now, too.
Not really.
No?
No, because see, with my endorsement deals, I can't just go out and play. I don't do clubs.
Okay.
Because, meaning just people paying a cover to come in and see the band.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the folks that I have endorsement deals with said, well, if somebody can come out and see you play for free, why would they buy a ticket?
Right.
So
I get that.
Strategically, I'll go out and I'll do a blues jam or something like that, or I'll know somebody and they'll say, oh yeah, my man, I'm playing, so come out, bring your horn. I'll come out and, play maybe one song and one song turns into two.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I have to be careful because I always tell them, please don't record this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks want to be recording and putting stuff out there and everything like that. So, but I enjoy doing it. And it's because it's the love of friendship. If someone calls me, and that's my weakness, and I tell my girlfriend all the time, I say, you need to stop me from saying yes all the time.
Right.
Because folks will call me and I would just say, all right, fine. Because it's a privilege, not a right for people to want you to spend time with them and ask you to come out and play.
Sure.
And everything. And I don't do it for the money. I'm okay on money. I don't do it for the money. But I like to support folks.
That's the best.
People
local music and
just
stuff
the fact
like
you
that.
do it
Friends.
for the love of the music.
Yeah,
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
that's definitely.
Somebody's coming up, they're just starting out, and they say, man, I'd love to have you on. May not be at the level I'm at, But you know what? I'm still going to go get on stage with them because I can uplift their show.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, by being there, helping them feel better about their journey. Because you know what? Folks did that to me.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody starts somewhere, man.
They let me come up on stage when I wasn't that good.
Right.
And
Right.
supported me. And I'm telling you, and I have to give a shout out to those guys like this guy named Ed Scott, John Kersey. Man, I mean, this guy named Kevin, what was Kevin's last name? He's from Baltimore. But it was a host of people that let me come and play with them when I couldn't play.
Right. That's the best. And the only way, ironically, it's kind of like getting a Screen Actors Guild card. The only way to get better is to just jump in and play. But not everybody will let you just jump in and play. But
Right.
you just keep doing it and doing it.
Do you remember the first time you got up on a stage?
Y'all want to hear this story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, y'all want to hear this story?
No, I love that story. Like, if you remember the first time, because
Okay.
it's got to be an intense situation.
Okay, so here's what happened. So I'm taking lessons from this teacher down in the Washington, D.C. area. And he tells her, I said, man, I think I'm ready to go out and play blues. He said, no, you ain't ready. I said, I'm practicing, right? I'm at home practicing, blah, 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 practicing. And I go out like for a month, take my horn to these different blues places. No, it's the same blues place up in White Marsh. Remember when White Marsh had that? They had a place up there. I forgot what it was called. But
In White Marsh.
yeah, it's back in the 90s.
Oh, no, we're from Westminster, like
Okay.
this side of town.
Okay,
So in the
yeah,
90s,
yeah,
we wouldn't
yeah.
have been over there.
Yeah, so it
I was thinking Getter.
yeah, like 98, 99, somewhere
Okay,
down in there.
yeah.
So I go up there like 4 weeks in a row. Don't pick my horn up. Don't take my horn out. They say, you gonna play tonight? I'm like, So
You were drumming up
I
suspense.
went that last time and I get up on stage and they are playing. This is blues, man. 1, 4, 5. I get up on stage. I could not find one note. 3 songs now.
Right.
He give me solo. It's horrible. So after that song, I'm like trying to get off. No. We got 2 more songs. Remember the Flintstone movie where Fred started shrinking up?
Yeah.
Because he was so embarrassed.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
Second song.
Right.
And the place was packed.
right.
Right. That's the way it goes, baby.
Third song. Oh, I couldn't pack that horn up fast enough.
And were they giving you shit or were they cool about it?
No, the people were cool. But,
That's what I figured.
but you know,
Right.
they're like, really?
Right.
So are you saying it was as bad as you think it was?
Oh. Look,
Trust me.
when they said on saxophone, when they said on guitar, drums,
Right.
bass, on saxophone.
I'm like,
Right. They start announcing the band. You're like, don't do this now. Like, just wait.
So I learned.
Right.
So that was a lesson to
Sure.
answer your question. That was a lesson to know your scales. My teacher had been telling me,
Right.
learn your scales. Because when you know your scales, you'll never get lost.
right.
Right. It's a confidence.
Yep.
You know, it's like knowing jujitsu and
Yeah.
walking into a room.
So why'd you ask me that? How'd you put me on? I had
No, that's a great question.
I had to tell you the
But
truth.
I mean, it like what Tristan said. Like the reason he gets the seat is because he shows up on time and always knows the music.
Right. And you can find the one.
Yeah.
Baby. You know, that's the most important thing.
And his instrument's always in tune.
That's true. Yeah. So, and what, like tuning horns like that, do they get out of whack like guitars? Like, is it weather type stuff? And,
Saxophone's an acoustic instrument, so inherently it's always out of tune.
right.
So you never are able. Let me just say this: I'm not gonna say you're never able. There's probably only the top players can probably tune their, but they've had so much work done on their saxophones where they are in tune on every note. A lot, majority, half the notes you gotta lip in, because pressing them, because if you move your mouth, you tune up by moving your mouthpiece in and out, or your ligature up or down. Okay, so so if I'm in tune on A, B, and C sharp, I could be out of tune on B, B flat, and G. So what you gonna do? You can't in the middle of the song.
And so what you're saying you compensate by using your tongue and your mouth and all kinds of
so
weird.
You find that spot where you got the most notes that are played in tune, that are naturally there from where you are, and the rest of them you have to just lip in when you get them.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. That's an art form in itself. You know what I mean? Like locking in what your choice of notes will be. Or that. I mean, that's.
So, I mean,
so your tone.
Bottom line is you're not just blowing into the instrument.
No, there's a lot going on, baby.
That's why it's so important to get to that sweet tone point in your playing career.
Right.
Because once you sound great, being slightly sharp or flat doesn't show up.
Right, and your confidence level is probably on a different level because your sound is confident.
That's right.
Or whatever you want to describe it. That's fascinating. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the long straight one. That's the what?
That's the straight alto.
So and that you mentioned to us earlier is one of a kind.
One of a kind.
And tell us a little bit about
the owner of
Sax
Dakota Sax, Pete LaPlaca. I've been with him. He was my first endorsement deal.
Okay.
He gave me my first shot and everything. God, that had to be 15 years ago now.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And I went to Pete and I said, Pete, I want to play a straight alto, but I like, as you see my horns, except for the soprano, both altos, they have a lot of silver in them.
Yeah.
Silver brightens up your sound.
And etchings. There's a lot of, I feel, is that normal? I feel like a lot of saxes don't have etching.
Yes, and the etching in it, and then like that. So, but a lot of them have really beautiful etching too.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, can you find me a straight silver alto? He said, I got the regular bronze and the gray. I said, no, I want a silver because, the pizzazz. Right. I'm telling you, everywhere I play, when I bring that horn out, it just fascinates them. They're like, what is that? And it's beautiful and everything like that. So part of being a sax player, man, you got to have that swag.
Yeah, man. It's the ultimate.
Oh, yeah,
swag.
one of a kind instrument.
Yeah,
you
got to have that
swag.
You got to have that swag, man, when you play sax because when you come on stage, people expect you to be able to give it to them.
Right.
And when you can't, like I did at that blues place that you made me talk about.
Well, you can back it up with your second time. The second time was better.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's what that was. That's a straight alto, and it's the only one they ever made, and I have it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And the intonation is beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's just such a beautiful horn to play and easy to play.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Are you good to go or what?
Man.
All right. So when we're wrapping up, Mr. Anthony, we like to ask each guest what their favorite top 3 to 5 movies are, if you could narrow it down. First of all, are you a movie person, a TV person?
I mean, I watch like certain movies.
Okay.
You could send. We've had people in here that haven't seen movies before.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So if you're not a movie person, you can say you're not. But if you have a top 3 to 5, 3 is fine. A favorite movies that affect you emotionally. The Deep Anthony.
Yeah, the Deep.
He said, the Deep.
And we like it. And we always put everybody on the spot.
Yes,
Oh man, I guess. Let me see. Give me a second.
Sure,
here.
man.
I can't believe y'all doing this without preempting me.
No,
so
we never do.
Well, that's why.
And it could even be just the movie you've seen the most.
Don't overthink it.
No. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
And I'm a movie guy.
Yeah,
so
he can figure it out.
I can probably.
Okay. Which Way Is Up?
Wow. All right.
All the way back. Richard Pryor.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
Way?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Wow.
Which Way
I was
Is Up?
thinking of
where he played. Well, he was the first one to play all those different characters.
Man, I haven't seen
Which
that.
Way Is Up? That's old.
That's old, man.
Well, I loved all the Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor movies.
Yeah. So that's
I haven't seen that.
That one,
Brewster's Millions. That's one of my favorite.
That one's still a good one.
Yeah. Which Way Is Up?
Which Way Is Up, man?
Wonderful. I got to figure out that.
What other one? Oh, I love the Denzel movie, the first of the 3 series movies that he did. Equalizer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, love the
The first
Equalizer.
Equalizer was
That was the best
fantastic.
one.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
first Equalizer was real good.
Going South is what I thought.
Going South, okay.
But
And you say it emotionally, so you got to throw in Boys in the Hood.
oh my gosh,
yeah.
loved the
God,
first.
that
I
was-
mean, Boys in the Hood was the first movie. I mean, it was the first movie I had seen like that affected me on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Menace to Society came out, I think, the same year, but it was
different.
it was different.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
It was very,
Boys
very,
of the Hood is the movie you kind of watch, especially you don't say anything after you see it.
Yeah,
because what it did for me, it made me realize that my mom and dad were married for 61 years. It made me realize how important having, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, having that dad in your life
right.
to take you out back when you need to go out back.
Sure.
Because I had to do that with my boys. I got 2 sons, and the oldest one, the one that passed, never challenged me, but the oldest one did. And you don't want to kill that spirit, because that's what boys do. That's what we did with my father. I mean, that's just who we are. You know, we trying to take the throne before it's ours, before he gives it to us. So the Boys in the Hood movie was good for me with that whole cast of characters, because it showed the father being tough and direct, but also letting the son know that, look, man, I love you, man. I can't allow you to not be here.
Right.
And that's just not a black thing. That's just a dad thing.
Sure.
Right. And Lawrence Fishburne in that role
Yeah,
was
it's
phenomenal. I mean, what a perfect stern presence. And as you say, like even in the haircut scene, like when he's cutting, what was his name? Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Trey?
Cuba?
Yeah.
Cuba?
Yeah.
Trey.
Cutting Trey's hair, and they're talking about women.
Yeah,
It's like he was loose with them, and
That's right.
they were
That's right.
boys,
Yeah.
but he was very stern with
Yeah.
them too, and that's the difference maker between Doughboy and you know.
And the last one, Space Odyssey 2000.
Anthony, you're deep, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm a sci-fi.
Oh man, good for you.
It's just been so long.
Yeah,
since
it's been
I've
so
seen it,
long.
but
I love
Brian,
heavy
it's-
sci-fi. In 2001: A Space. I mean, that came out in '68.
Yeah,
man.
that's crazy.
I mean,
But-
it looks phenomenal.
But it made you think
Oh,
Yeah.
it made you think.
about our existence.
Absolutely.
You know, what is the actual reality of our state of being?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the heaviness from Dawn of Man to the,
All
like
the way through.
Jupiter,
I was reading
Who
something-
are we
Infinite.
and where do we come from?
Right.
Right.
And I was reading something
gosh.
recently about 2001 I mean, there's never really aliens shown in the movie.
No, there's a
But
space
it's kind of
baby at the
implied
end.
that
It's-
they're watching.
at the-
They're
that's
he's
right.
an experiment as
Yeah.
he's growing old, living
Yep.
in that
Yep.
room.
Right, and at the very, very end, there is a huge entity in the
Yeah, I
solar
remember the
system.
fetus.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it's
Which
born
is what,
again.
like the dawn of man?
Dawn of man.
Well, it's
Yep.
just rebirth or
It's
of
the-
some sort, or it's,
Starting over.
It's answering that question that we all have asked ourselves. You know, where did we come? Where did I come from?
Sure. Yeah.
Where was I before I was here?
right.
right.
Or was I? Yeah, man.
It's a wonderful question.
Yeah, it's very heavy, man.
It's the great
So that's
mystery.
why I love 2001.
The
If
great
you dug
mystery.
2001, and maybe you've seen it, and maybe you haven't, but like it scratches the same itch for me that 2001 did.
Interstellar.
Interstellar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever see Interstellar?
I did with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I didn't follow it as well as I did 2001.
You ought to revisit it,
Yeah.
especially
But
if
you know,
like
Arrival
depth.
was along the same way.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Arrival.
Arrival's nothing
Denny
to
that was
sleep on.
that
Yeah.
was just on the other night.
Dude,
Yeah.
Arrival with Amy, not you're talking about with Amy Adams
Yeah.
and Jeremy.
No,
Renner.
No,
the Jodie
no,
Foster.
Jodie
one.
Foster
Yeah,
one.
you're thinking of
No. Contact.
Contact
is
is
the
Jodie
Foster.
Foster. The Arrival
The
is with
Arrival's Amy
where the
Adams.
aliens are writing the
Yes.
the
Yeah,
language.
That's right. That's the Arrival.
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
Arrival.
yeah,
Contact is with
Contact
Jodie
was-
Foster.
Contact was Jodie Foster.
Contact
that's a
Contact,
movie I haven't
love.
revisited in a while. Man,
Contact.
Carl
yeah.
Sagan wrote Contact, and Zemeckis directed it. But I love that movie. I think that movie had a bum rap a little
And even
bit.
along the lines of 2001 and Contact is The Abyss.
Let me ask you this.
You're
Oh,
right.
that's right.
You're
Oh, that's
right.
okay.
Water
I gotta add
aliens.
that one.
Yeah.
I gotta add that one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, The Abyss. That's
like
that's
the
a
old
no miss.
man.
Yeah, The Abyss. Yeah,
When your father saw The Abyss, was he like, "Holy shit, this is what I'm saying about
he didn't
water
see it.
aliens"?
He didn't see it. He didn't see it. But The Abyss. Okay, I got to add that one to mine. Yeah, that's
that's a
a
good
one you
one.
watch
Good
every
pull.
night. You
Yeah.
can watch
Good
that
pull.
every
God,
night.
it is a good one.
What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say?
Did y'all ever see that movie Mission to Mars?
Oh yeah,
No, I haven't.
it's Kilmer, Val Kilmer.
No. It was with the guy. God, what is his name?
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was
and-
2 Mars movies in the same year. One was Mission to Mars, and one was the other one. So Tim Robbins.
Because that one talked about, how we were
De Palma
we were
directed it.
reseeded on Earth.
Right.
From
Well,
folks on Mars.
now did he lift that concept? Like, because there is like, I mean, it doesn't matter, but. See, there was 2 Mars movies that year, and I only saw one of them. I know one of them was De Palma, and one of them was another famous director. And I don't think I saw the Tim Robbins one.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's
I think I saw the other one.
I mean, the Tim Robbins one is Gary Sinise, Tim Robbins,
Yeah,
Don Cheadle.
Don
Yeah,
Cheadle.
no, see,
it's real good.
I didn't see that one. I saw the other one.
Yeah, that's real. It's a real good
That,
one.
That
Brian
one-
De Palma directed that one.
So
Mission
De
to
Palma
Mars.
directed
Tim Robbins.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I didn't see that.
Yeah, that one will make you think.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
I've
you
never
got
been there.
Yeah, it's older.
Hey,
but you'll
while
still
you're
like
on
it.
there,
2000,
figure
it's 25.
figure out what the other Mars movie in 2000 was. Because Red Planet. That's it.
Okay.
That's Val Kilmer.
That's
Right.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Red Planet. That's it. So it was Red Planet,
2000,
Mission to
yeah.
Mars. I saw Red Planet. And I remember I was a little underwhelmed. Like, I don't remember it blowing my head off.
I mean, if you follow Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 14%.
Which means bad.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, I don't follow around to it. I just watch movies, and if I like them, I'm
Val
like, hey, I
Kilmer,
like it.
Carrie Ann Moss, Tom Sizemore. It's got a good cast.
Yeah, like it was.
Terrence
it just,
Stamp,
It just
Zod.
Zod. We all love Zod, but it just wasn't
Right.
deep.
Yeah,
like
I
like I
remember that
needed to
movie.
be.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah,
They're
they were
good
great
picks.
movies.
Yeah, good picks, Mr. Andrew.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Good stuff.
I like
2000.
always like the sci-fi stuff and
Yeah.
sort of that
Yeah,
stuff.
you have to. It's offensive that Mr. Predator here hasn't watched 2001. I mean,
I've seen it
but you've gotta
many times. I
rewatch.
just
And the
haven't
first-
seen it in 20 years.
And the first Predator was the best one.
oh yeah, the first,
First Predator.
I agree,
Yeah.
but I'm a fan of the whole franchise except 2018's Predator, the Predator. I liked Prey.
right.
There's a new one that just came out that's animated, like anime style, called Killer of Killers, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey, and Predator Badlands comes out in September or October.
It's soon.
And that's like a youngling predator on their home world. Like, that's going to be good.
But wait, that every one of those is live action except for this one.
This
on
one that's
Hulu.
out right now on Hulu is animated.
Right, and I heard it's violent.
It's four different stories, but it's the same director of the most recent movie, Prey. This, and he's doing Badlands too, which I think he's doing great stuff with the franchise.
That's good.
But I do agree, the original Predator.
Because look at
the
the guys
best
that were
one,
in
yeah.
it, and then they all wind up being
dude,
stars.
Sonny Landham.
Yeah,
He's our
he had
boy.
the bodyguard, but it was to protect them from him,
Yeah.
not him from other people.
Carl
Carl
Weathers, man. Yeah.
Rest his soul. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Great cast. Bill Duke.
Yep, Bill Duke.
Yeah, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah,
But
Richard
the-
Chavez.
yeah,
I have a
yeah,
line to
yeah.
him. Like, I'd love to get Poncho in here
Yeah.
for
Oh, you
a
do?
Predator episode. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
we
He
want to try
follows
to
me
get.
on Instagram.
Get out of
He's
here.
Poncho. Yeah, he kind of got recently back into the like scene where he's kind of going around the cons and stuff like that. The guy, my partner that I do the alien props and all this stuff with, he lives in England, and he's a master sculptor. Like, he's a world-renowned sculptor, And these guys follow him, and now they're starting to follow me and my work, which is cool. But Richard Chavez Poncho is one of the guys that follow me.
We'll
cool.
deep dive interview Chavez here.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I think I can get him in here.
Or we'll get him in the lounge.
Good, man.
And Ian White, like he played the Wolf Predator and Scar Predator. If he's around, I
the
can
second
get him.
Predator was good.
Young
It was a
Ian.
different with Danny Glover.
Yeah,
That
right.
was a
Bill
good-
Paxton.
I just wish that
It was fun.
I wish they had. I wish the third one was a continuation because they left
Right,
it.
yeah.
Like it
I
could
mean,
have
what
been
was
a
the third one? Was that Adrian Brody? Was that Predators? Or what was the third
Predator 1 and 2, then Aliens vs. Predator. That's different. Technically, it's technically not necessarily the same universe, but it is.
I got to tell you, I liked the first one of that Alien.
I like all
Remember
of them,
Lance
like-
Hendrickson was in it?
Oh,
Like, it was legit.
He's
Yeah.
Waylon Yutani. Like he's the company
Right,
that
right.
like that's what ties Alien
Right.
to the Predator.
Prometheus.
Yeah,
Or-
and then AVP was cool because that's the Wolf. He's like the cleaner, and he's based on like Winston Wolfe from Pulp Fiction. He comes and cleans up the mess
Love it.
that the aliens
See, I've
made.
never seen that one.
That
So
one's good.
which one is that?
Aliens
movie?
vs. Predator Requiem. But the problem
Okay.
is
All
you
right.
got to turn the brightness up on your TV because it's shot really dark, and that's the number one complaint. And then there's Predators with Adrian Brody, which is that's back to this original universe.
And I like that one. That was
It's
all right.
great.
Yeah,
They get
that
dropped
was-
on their home world in a hunting preserve, and
Yeah.
the Predators
Yeah.
hunt them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And then 2018 had potential, but it was just
Yeah.
the acting was.
They tried a little too hard.
The casting was poor.
Okay.
The idea was good, but then Prey that took place like during the Indians.
Right.
I mean, it's the predator. It's a
Right,
feral
like the
predator.
1700s or
Yeah,
some shit.
and that's where they kind of tied in the pistol from the end that the
Yeah.
elder predator throws Danny Glover.
Yeah, yeah.
They kind of
Yeah.
create an origin story for that pistol that isn't quite canon based on the comic books. It was given to him by a pirate.
Yeah, but who's counting well?
All
Nobody's
the,
going
all
to keep
the trolls
track.
on the internet.
I forgot.
Who's
I forgot.
keeping track?
That's right. He did.
Yeah.
Before he walked
Yep.
into that next dimension, he
Yes.
did.
Yep.
He
That's
he
awesome.
threw him the gun back. Yeah.
Well, Mr.
Yeah.
Anthony, do you have anything you want to plug before
Plug
we get out of
everything.
here? I
No,
mean,
no. I mean, just my new song that I got coming out.
Where can they find it?
Yeah, digging that song, digging that groove. It's not out yet.
Mm-hmm.
It should be done in the next couple months, but.
All right.
And you can hear your music.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Spotify.
You can hear my music. If you tell Alexa play songs by Anthony Cannon,
Okay.
she'll play about 18 to 20 of my original songs, man.
Fantastic.
Everything's out
Wonderful,
there.
man.
Do it.
Well,
So-
we really appreciate you,
We'll
sir.
have all the links
And-
on our posts.
Pandora. I'm on all the streaming sites. Website is www.anthonycannon.com.
Yep. We'll
Buy
have that
my
up there, too.
music.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Can I say
Support
that?
local?
Absolutely.
Support local artists. Buy the music
Yep.
and see them live.
Yep.
We'll throw up. We have our event calendar. What's happening, Baltimore?
Okay.
If you send me some of your gigs, we'll put them up there so
Okay.
people know where they can come see you.
Okay. That
If
sounds
I
good.
know you have some shows in Rehoboth coming out, or was
Yeah.
your
I'm
calendar
at what you
updated?
call 'em, I'm playing in Ocean City. I got a residency in Ocean City at
When?
the Carousel Hotel.
Oh,
I play
wow.
there every
Really?
Sunday, 2 to 5.
That's
So you
fun.
drive down to Ocean City every weekend,
yeah.
just during the season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So every Sunday from 2 to 5.
As long as it's sunny. I didn't play last week because it rained and it looks like it's
Right.
going to be
Dude,
raining
we're
again.
gonna be there at the end of this month, like the 26th, 20. We'll be there that Sunday.
Okay, yep. I'll be
We're
at the
staying
Carousel.
up that way.
2 to 5,
We're
I'll
staying
be
near the
playing.
Green Turtle, and his band Making Waves is playing at Fager's the Saturday before.
Okay,
So
okay.
they play Saturday, and we have a bunch
That's
of
so
friends
funny.
going down.
Yep.
That's
I'll
wild,
be there.
man.
I'll
Yeah,
be
that's
there.
fun.
Yep. I'll be
Yeah,
there.
but if you pop in, if you're there Saturday night, pop over to Fager's.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
we're,
time?
we're the deck party, 5:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's a blast.
awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
it's a blast.
It's the
Fager's?
sun sets
Fager's,
Fager's,
yep. Fager's
63rd.
Island, yep.
Okay.
63rd Street. We will all be there. I can guarantee
Okay.
it.
Yeah, man.
I'll
It'll be a
I'll
great
there,
time.
man.
It's free. Yeah.
Give me,
Yeah,
okay.
it's, yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say, give me a comp ticket, man. Stop playing.
Yeah,
No,
it's free.
it's free.
yeah.
It's the deck
It's
party,
just a
and it's
bar- yeah.
always
And it's
a
cool.
killer time. Yeah, always a killer crowd.
Yeah.
It'll be good stuff.
Yeah.
This was a pleasure, sir.
Oh,
I
yeah, it was.
appreciate
Thank
meeting
you so
man,
much.
And
It was fantastic.
stay sane, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Baltimore. You can find us at www.sanitylounge.com or on Instagram at sanity.lounge.
Keep listening and subscribe.
Stay sane, Baltimore.